All right. This is another episode of Chow's Rambling with Insights. I think it's episode 5, right? Yeah, anyway, see, the rambling begins. But today I will actually focus on 10K HP content. 10,000 Hours of Play is the second book I'm writing, and it's a 6-step process that every successful person in history, doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or inventor or artist or scientist, revolutionary, they all have aligned with these 6 steps, and that's why they become legendary and successful. So, and these 6 steps involve choosing your game, identifying your attributes, selecting your role, enhancing your skills, building your alliances, and achieving your quests. Okay, those are the 6 steps. And again, the 3 pillars of 10K HP is that, again, number 1, every successful person we've studied in history have aligned those 6 steps. Number 2 is that we hope through the book we can create 100 extra very famous people or very successful people, impactful people like Steve Jobs, like Gandhi, Elon Musk, like Marie Curie, Leonardo da Vinci in the world, because we're actually showing people how these 6 steps are done. And then number 3 is obviously the reader of the book could possibly be those 100 OP heroes, or they can just be successful in real life. Okay, so step 4, I think it's one of my favorite chapters. It's about enhancing your skills, and it talks about, you know, a lot of skills that you can acquire in the real life. It talks about identifying your skill triangle, blah blah blah. But what I've always thought is the most fun are the real life game skills, and those are skills that you find in games, but they also have an equivalent powerful value in the real world. So one example is what we call the heroic strike, which is saying something or doing something so audacious that it surprises people, shocks people, and because of that, they feel impressed by your audacity, and they're more likely to give you what you want, or get some kind of crazy special effects that most people think are kind of impossible, because they don't want to step out of their box and do things that are a little unorthodox and frankly uncomfortable. Hero strikes are uncomfortable for people. At least it feels scary, but and that's a low tier warrior game skill. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's a tier 2. I think so tier 3 is the highest, a tier 2 warrior game skill. But today I want to talk about the power leap, which is a tier 3 warrior skill. Again, there's warriors, there's rogues, there's rangers. So and they all have different characteristics. But so the warrior skills are more about like people who are selling, right? Selling, persuading, pushing hard on things. It's a little bit different with the paladin. The paladin are kind of like revolutionists, you know, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, where they go out in the world and they just say what they think is the truth, it's right. They don't care about persuading like one person. They want to, and they don't care if everyone disagrees or hates them. They just keep saying it, and usually they amass a following if they become very successful at it. But the warrior game skill is about persuasion and selling. Okay, so I want to go to the power leap. The power leap is basically, without people's permission, just fly to their city, go visit them at their office, and again, because this move is so like crazy and out of the blue, unexpected, people who have their door closed to you open it up and like, all right, you can come in. So in the book I talk about 3 examples of this power leap, and they're all really, really cool to be honest. So so the short one is Masayoshi Son, who is the founder of SoftBank. Okay, when he was a young boy as a Korean immigrant in Japan, he idolizes the guy who brought McDonald's to Japan, this big executive, right? So he would call the guy's office regularly, and the secretary, rightfully so, would say, yeah, my boss is too busy for you. He's not going to talk to this random, I think 14-year-old or something. And so he didn't give up. He kept calling. And then according to his own story, right, he says then these long distance phone calls were getting expensive, and he was a pretty poor boy, but He was like, it actually is like, hey, it actually costs less for me to just buy an intercity plane ticket. I guess it's intercity, not inter-country, so it's a cheaper plane ticket, to fly to Tokyo, I believe, and visit the guy's office, okay? So he just bought a ticket, flew, and was showed up at the office, and the assistant's like, okay, wow, this person who keeps calling is now right here. So she told her boss, and her boss was so impressed with that audacity. He said, all right, I'll meet him for 15 minutes. And the guy gave him advice that changed his life. That's why he moved to the US, and that's why he got into computers, and that's why he became this ultra billionaire. Okay, so that's a power leap. Again, in a game, a power leap is like a warrior barbarian skill where you just jump into the midst of enemies, and it can be very powerful. But obviously, if you do it randomly, and you could be in a bad position and hurt yourself. Okay, so story number 2. Google founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. So they just had their IPO, I believe a 2000 and early 2000s. Okay, I don't want to say inaccurate things because I'm driving and I'm not checking the details of my book right now. But they just got their IPO, and they were on a plane flying to Spain, and on the plane they just learned of the news that a very important advertisement deal with AOL, American Online. Back then, they were very, very big. They lost the rights to the advertisement deal to Yahoo, okay, in Europe. So, and it's a conclusion, right? They were negotiating, they lost the deal. AOL says, all right, it's given to Yahoo. So then they told because they're on a private jet, they told the pilot to switch directions to go from Spain to London, and called the head of Europe in AOL and said, hey, we are going to London. We're going to talk it out. We're going to try to persuade you to use Google, not Yahoo. And the head of Europe says, literally, he says something like, no, do not come here. It is done. The deal is with Yahoo, okay? And small detail, they already committed to Yahoo with a handshake, with agreement, with email. They haven't signed paperwork yet, but they said it's done. And they said, well, we don't care. We're just gonna fly there, and we're gonna meet with you, and we're gonna land this afternoon or something like that, right? And so the head of AOL is like, wow, this is kind of crazy. So he called the CEO of AOL in the US, and he's like, oh, what should we do? And they both agreed, hey, look, we should not go back on our words. It's bad for business. That will make us very dishonorable. So we cannot do this, right? We have to honor the deal we gave Yahoo. But the Google founders, they're flying to the city. So I guess we just have to meet them and see what they have to say. So then they met, and the Google founders pitched him and blah, blah, blah. And at the end is like, all right, we're gonna switch from Yahoo to Google. And then the press release is like, hey, it was really helpful that they flew here to meet with me, and it really helped with understanding what's going on and making this deal happen, right? So previously he said, do not come here, it's done, there's no possible way this could help, and then it helped them get the deal done, right? So this is another example of a power leap. Very, very cool. Again, covering a lot of information with very quickly, so you don't have some of the details. The third story is from someone I know personally, which is Suzy Batiz, the founder of Poopery. So she bootstrapped her company from nothing to a $500 million company. So it's very, very cool. Okay, so in her story, when the company was scaling and growing, they suddenly got a lot of orders, but they ran out of supplies, the sprayer on the bottle cap. So it's a company that has bottled goods with sprayers on top, and that was a huge issue because they would have to refund people and hurt their reputation, and a lot of times they would have spent some money, and so actually, if they couldn't solve the problem, they would have been bankrupt. Okay, even though they're selling well, they're doing well, it could be bankrupt. It's a detail I had to look deeply into. How would selling too much but not be able to provide products on time lead to bankruptcy, right? And there could be lawsuits too. So previously the bottle sprayer company supplier, they said, hey, we cannot help you because we have our own supply chain issues. We have to deal with our much bigger clients like Procter and Gamble. So like, there's nothing we can do for you. Good luck. So Suzy Batiz, she sends an email, or she buys a plane ticket to the city, right? To the city of the spraying company, and says, hey, I just bought a plane ticket. I'm flying to your office to meet you tomorrow or today. And even if you say no, I want you to say no to my face. If you say no to my face, then I will give up. So then as she was boarding the plane, so she was doing the power leap. The VP called him of the spray company and said, hey, actually our CEO is not in the office right now. But since you're so adamant, let me see what we can do for you. And they literally went on to their board meetings and said, hey, even though we have these problems, if we don't help the little guys, who are we? Like, that's our core values. And what they did is they literally took bottles that were promised to other bigger suppliers, and they gave it to Poopery. Okay, that's pretty crazy. They actually risked losing huge clients. They could be sued. Actually, I think that was actually illegal, and previously rejected Suzy Batiz for good reason. But because she was doing this power leap, I guess she didn't go on the plane because they told her not to. But because she did this power leap, this supplier company actually did something illegal to help her out, and that saved her company, and it grew and grew and grew and became, the $500 million it is today. So again, that's the power leap. It's very cool. I think pretty inspiring. Don't do it easily. It's a tier 3 warrior skill, so you need to be a high skill dude. But again, sometimes you have no choice. When you're in a desperate situation, just do a power leap. Just do it, and you might lose, but you might create an epic, legendary story, because this is all what 10KHP is about. It's about helping you find your legendary success. All right. Anyway, this is Chow's Rambling with Insights, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.